All right, we are back. We're getting closer. 49ers Cowboys practice week started today, continues tomorrow. Tomorrow I get to visit Candlestick down on my way down to Levi's. It's going to be good. And the preview sessions start right now. Brock Purdy's 49ers offense against the Cowboys defense. Tomorrow, I'm going to do the inverse. I'm going to talk about Dak Prescott's Dallas offense against the 49ers defense. And then we're going to come out with our score prediction and who was going to win this game. All that's going to come on Friday. We'll have a lot of time to pass on Saturday. Game starts at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday. So that means probably a lot of time to pass on Sunday as well. Good thing for 49ers fans is that they have a game before that to watch on Sunday to help pass the time. And the same could be said of Saturday. In fact, on Saturday, we're going to find out who the winner of this 49ers Cowboys game will play, because we'll get to see the New York Giants against the Philadelphia Eagles. I may swing by both teams' bars on Saturday here in San Francisco. Philadelphia, I think they have a couple bars, but one of them is Jake's Steaks, the cheesesteak shop that also serves beer up in the marina. They've got some TVs and everything there. That goes crazy. I remember seeing the Eagles win the Super Bowl there in 2017, or the close that season. And the New York Giants, they've got a spot, Aces, Lower Nob Hill, which is a euphemism for the tenderloin, I think. But that's in the area near downtown, near Union Square in San Francisco, is the New York bar Aces. That is a very, very sweet spot to catch a game as well. So maybe I hop from place to place on Saturday. Obviously on Sunday, I'm not going to any bars. I'm going to be at Levi's Stadium for 49ers Cowboys. And today we're previewing the Cowboys defense against Brock Purdy and this 49ers offense. I tweeted several times today about some of the matchups in this game, but here's one that really, really jumps out to me as far as the Cowboys defense. They're number 2 DVOA, so they were number 2 as well last year. But one thing that this Cowboys defense does better in 2022/23 versus the defense that the 49ers beat last season is stop the run. The Cowboys have gotten better at run defense. They were number 16 DVOA against the run in 2021, number 5 DVOA against the run this season. So here are the splits. I'm going to put them up on the screen for you as we look at this Dallas defense against Purdy and the 49ers offense. You could see the two comparisons there. Number 2 overall in both seasons. 49ers are number 1 overall this year, so it's number 1 versus number 2 defense, but it's that run defense that's gotten better for Dallas this season. But I have to say that the 49ers, before Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt last year, he suffered a shoulder injury in the second quarter when Randy Gregory, who's no longer with the Cowboys, hit him. The 49ers absolutely worked Dallas before that injury. It's up on the screen right here. I'll make it bigger so you can see. The Cowboys were not able to stop the 49ers prior to that injury. Garoppolo, before injuring his shoulder, 11 of 13, 133 yards, 10.2 yards per attempt. After injuring his shoulder, only 5 of 12, 39 yards, 3.3 yards per attempt, and that bad interception as he was rolling to the right. Obviously, it's Brock Purdy this time, but that is worth keeping in mind, because even if the Cowboys defense is ranked number 2 overall in DVOA, even if that run game has improved, do remember that they were not stopping a nosebleed last year when Jimmy Garoppolo only had 1 injury instead of 2. They couldn't stop Garoppolo with the torn thumb. The 49ers were running the ball well. I think that this is a really favorable matchup for the 49ers. And it's hard to not have a favorable matchup when you come into a game with your starting quarterback, that's Brock Purdy right now, and you're averaging 34.8 points per game over the games that he started this season. That's where the 49ers are at this moment. 35 points per game with Brock Purdy at the helm, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. You could go down the list with the weapons. This team is blowing the top off of opposing defenses, and Dallas is going to be, on paper, the most efficient defense that the 49ers face this season. It's hard to find a more efficient one than number 2 if you're number 1, right? And the 49ers are number 1. So technically, we can say that this is the biggest test that Brock Purdy has faced in person, but we do know that the 49ers matched up against a similar Dallas unit really, really well already last year. So what's this Cowboys defense about? Well, the Dallas defense starts with the pass rush. The Cowboys can get after the quarterback. The two top pass rushes in the NFL, as far as sacks yielded per drop back, so that's adjusted sack rate, are number one, Philadelphia, 11.2%, means on 11.2% of opposing dropbacks from quarterbacks, obviously, there are sacks registered by the Eagles. The Cowboys are number two at 8.9%. 54 sacks on the season for Dallas, and a whole lot of pressures registered on the season for Dallas. They're broken down as such. I'm going to put these on the screen for you just so you can get an idea of where the pressure is coming from the Dallas Cowboys. Micah Parsons, edge rusher, defensive player of the year candidate. He's not going to win because Nick Bosa is going to win, but Parsons has 98 pressures to lead the NFL this season. DeMarcus Lawrence, he's been around for a long time, and he's still producing for the Cowboys. Not as good as Parsons on the downslope of his career, but Lawrence is going to come off the other edge. 56 pressures on the season. Dorrance Armstrong out of Kansas just a couple years ago, 43 pressures on the season. Another guy who's been around the league for a while, on the downswing now, but still a productive player, Dante Fowler Jr., 40 pressures. Then you got Osa Odigizua, who's the defensive tackle, the top pass rushing defensive tackle on this team. He's got 34 pressures. Then Sam Williams coming off the edge with 22. Last year, it was about Parsons and Lawrence and Randy Gregory. Dallas, though, was unable to afford to keep Randy Gregory, so Gregory went to the Denver Broncos. Gregory is the player who injured Jimmy Garoppolo in the wild card game last year. So Gregory, really good player. Cowboys lose him, but they don't lose out on the pass rush because they do now have a player like Dante Fowler Jr. They do now have Micah Parsons racking up nearly 100 pressures in a single season. So this team is all about the pass rush. And because of the pressure numbers that you see up on the screen, they're generating sacks. Pressures and sacks are obviously correlated. Pressures are probably even more predictive of future sacks than actual sacks are. And the sack numbers have been prolific. Again, 54 on the season and number 2 in adjusted sack rate for the Cowboys. So this is going to be a titanic matchup between the Cowboys pass rush and a 49ers offensive line that is ranked number 3 in pass blocking efficiency. This is the best the 49ers have ever been under Kyle Shanahan in pass protection, and it comes at just the right time because they're facing the number 2 pass rush in the league based on adjusted sack rate this week. And if the 49ers win, there's a really good chance they play the number 1 pass rush in the league based on adjusted sack rate in the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's a good time for the 49ers offensive line to be surging because they sure will be tested at least this week and possibly the following Sunday. The 49ers would certainly love it if they were tested again the following Sunday. That would mean a win in this divisional round against Dallas. So that's the pass rush. What about the rest of this unit? Well, I don't like Dallas's linebackers that much. I think the only really, they have Anthony Barr now, so he's a veteran. He's been around for a while. But their fixture, their centerpiece on the second level is Leighton Vander Esch. I think both of the Cowboys linebackers can be exposed in coverage, especially by a team like the 49ers, which has so many damn weapons across the offensive formation. But I digress. I'm going to talk about the back end and the secondary. They got fast guys. They've got athletes. Trevon Diggs is obviously a marquee name at the cornerback position. I don't know if he's a marquee level player because I think there are some holes in his game, but Diggs is the headliner in that secondary. Jaron Kearse, who, it's you look at this Dallas team and you look at the secondary, and I'm afraid for them that they have a lot invested as far as their success goes on defense in Jaron Kearse, one of their safeties who has a knee issue. He's I think their best run defender in the back seven on defense. I think that Trevon Diggs is a player who doesn't get all too physical. I thought we saw him shy away from contact on tape against Tampa Bay Monday night. And I think that the Cowboys do not match up well with the 49ers and their downhill, super aggressive, super repetitive in a good way running style, not repetitive in that they're running up against a brick wall. But the 49ers are obviously committed to running the football. They're committed to being physical. Their receivers are emblematic of this. You have Brandon Ayuk blocking far downfield. I don't know if the Cowboys back end is ready for this because there are two things. One is that their standard run defense, and the Cowboys' run defense has indeed improved this season from whatever it was, 15 or 16 DVOA to the top 5. But it's one thing to stop the typical NFL rushing attack, which the Cowboys have obviously done a good job of this year to climb up in the rush DVOA rankings. But it's another thing entirely to stop the 49ers rushing attack. This is a different beast. The 49ers are way more talented than any other NFL offense, especially out of the offenses that are committed to running the football. So it obviously starts up front, but you have so many weapons that can actually tote the rock. You have Christian McCaffrey. You have Elijah Mitchell. You have Deebo Samuel. You don't know what position the ball carrier is going to come from. It could be a wide out like Deebo Samuel. It could be a slot guy like Christian McCaffrey. Hell, even George Kittle has gotten handoffs in the past. So it's really, really difficult to diagnose what the 49ers are doing pre-snap because of their positional versatility. And then it's even harder to match up with them physically. And that's why I say, yeah, Dallas's run defense has improved this season, but have they improved relative to the NFL rushing offenses, or have they improved relative to the 49ers? Because if it's only relative to the NFL, that's not going to help them on Sunday. You remember the big Deebo Samuel run where he guaranteed Kyle Shanahan that he'd score last year, and he took it to the end zone against the Cowboys in Arlington. I mean, it's that kind of stuff that showed that the 49ers run game is on a different level than Dallas's run defense. And I'm not sure if we should be using the present tense, is on a different level or was on a different level. But, even if we're using the past tense right now, they definitely were on a different level last year. 49ers have a chance to put that in the present when they face off against the Cowboys on Sunday. Because this key right here, before Garoppolo got hurt last year, before he suffered the shoulder injury, the 49ers absolutely worked that Cowboys defense. It was a two-way offense that did not allow that Cowboys defense to get settled in at home. And, I went through some of the Dallas Cowboys defensive linemen and the pressure totals. I think there's going to be a ton of pressure in this game on the inside guys, on Osa and on Jonathan Hankins, who's a veteran defensive tackle to stop the run. Those guys are going to have to be fire hydrant types for the Cowboys to allow the edge rushers, Micah Parsons, allow the linebackers, Anthony Barr, Leighton Vander Esch. You have to allow that second, I don't want to say the second level, but you have to allow the edges to fire. You have to collapse the interior of the 49ers defense and allow the edges to fire to try to blow up some of the run game. Because if Dallas doesn't do that, then Brock Purdy is going to sit back and he's going to scorch earth the way that he has over the course of his 6 starts. 34.8 points per game. Last game, the most sensational stat that I've seen this year from the 49ers, they had 4 separate receivers at 18.5 yards per completion or above, and all 4 of those receivers had a significant amount of catches. Purdy threw 10 times when the ball traveled over 20 yards in the air, completed those 10 times. This was, to me, there were wide open spaces because Seattle just had no hope of covering all the firepower that the 49ers put out there. And if the Dallas is going to have a chance to cover the firepower that the 49ers put out there, they're going to have to stop the run. If you don't stop the run, you don't earn the right to rush the passer. And if you don't earn the right to rush the passer, then there are way, way too many Ferraris in the garage for the 49ers to be held down. There's a reason why they've been scoring 35 per game. So to me, it starts up front. The 49ers have to find a way to neutralize that Dallas offensive line, that Dallas defensive line that is generating pressure, generating serious pressure. If you're the 49ers, somehow, some way, you have to be able to neutralize this group. Now, that's going to start with the lineman up front for the 49ers, but it also continues with Brock Purdy. He's worked so hard, so cerebrally to understand where blitzes are coming from. So he was ready for cover 0 when he got out of bed in week 13 against the Miami Dolphins. Normally, when you face a rookie quarterback, especially on short notice, like the Dolphins did in that Purdy debut, you try to light up the opposing QB if he's a rookie with blitz after blitz after blitz. Cover zero, cover zero, cover zero, cover zero. See how he handles it. Well, Brock Purdy handled it just fine. A ton of cover zero beaters, and slowly but surely the league has learned you can't really just blitz this guy with your hair on fire. But Dallas has enough talent up front between the interior guys and the edge rushers to potentially get pressure with four if the 49ers don't show up along the offensive line. So the 49ers do need to hold four-man rushes at bay on Sunday afternoon. And then they need Brock Purdy to do his job and Kyle Shanahan to do his job. They need to scheme around whatever pressure, whatever weaknesses in the pass protection there might be, and Brock Purdy has to continue getting better. You know, I just got off the phone with Dan Minucci, who is a former NFL quarterback, 2 years with the Buffalo Bills as a backup in 79 and 80. He was drafted out of Kansas State. Dan Minucci was to the Bills in the same year that Joe Montana was drafted out of Notre Dame to the 49ers. Minucci went in the 5th round and Montana went in the 3rd. And Dan is now a quarterbacks coach, like one of those quarterbacks gurus in the Phoenix area. So he's been developing Brock Purdy since the 9th grade. And we talked about so many things in Brock's game, and so many of them are going to be specifically put to the test against this Dallas Cowboys defense because of the pass rush. So, I mean, we've seen Purdy's mobility, right? The twitchiness, the short area quickness. I talk about the fact that his 1.55 10-yard split is only a second slower than Lamar Jackson's 1.54, and actually shows up on tape. He's able to move in those short spaces, to buy time, to improvise. He's got that feel. He has the force, as Steve Young says. But again, this is going to be the best pass rush that Brock Purdy faces this season up to this point. It could be even better the following week against Philadelphia. And it's going to be imperative that Purdy remain in structure as long as possible and doesn't bail the pocket too early against this Dallas Cowboys team. Because I think in structure, the Cowboys back end is not going to be able to handle the 49ers, either through Brandon Ayuk, who juked and outran Trayvon Diggs last year at an insane clip. There were 3 or 4 plays where Ayuk just got wild separation against Diggs. It's going to be really hard for Dallas's back end to compete with the 49ers if Purdy can remain in the pocket, let 2 to 3 seconds develop, stay on schedule, and survey the field and pick Dallas apart. Now, the one spot where Dallas can, I think, neutralize some of the 49ers' prodigious offensive advantage is if they force Purdy out of the pocket, or if they encourage him to bail the pocket prematurely, which is the one weakness that we've seen Purdy deal with over the course of his first 6 starts with the 49ers. We saw it throughout the first half against the Seattle Seahawks. A little bit of pressure, Purdy spun out of it too early, and then because the defense is designed to make Purdy spin out of it, moving to his left, he had to recenter himself. Once you have to reflip your hips and recenter yourself, you don't have a lot of time in the NFL with edge rushers bearing down on you. He had to throw it away. 49ers ended up settling for some field goals early in that game. They were down at halftime. But then in the second half, Brock Purdy consistently was able to stay in the pocket. He was able to overcome what I think is his biggest weakness, which is bailing the pocket early. He was able to find ways to make it work within structure, use the short area quickness to step up, kind of just like his first touchdown of the game, right, to Christian McCaffrey. He was wiggling a bit in the pocket, but he stepped up, found his man. If you stay in that pocket and stay in structure and keep the play alive within that context, guys are going to be open because the 49ers have so many superstars, right, in that skill position room. But one thing that Dan Minucci told me, I mean, we both agreed that, okay, this is something that Brock Purdy's working on. This is something that has gotten better. But, you know, one thing that really stood out to me was everybody on Twitter is talking about and arguing about whether or not Brock Purdy's job is hard or if the 49ers make it really easy. The truth is that, and this is what Dan said, you can give somebody the keys to the Ferrari, and that's the 49ers offense, but he still has to drive the Ferrari. And he still has to take it around a perilous racetrack. Still has to know when to ease off the accelerator, how to make all the turns, how to punch the accelerator, how to deliver with a type of touch that allows the Ferrari, which is obviously a high-performing automobile, a high-performing machine, that allows the Ferrari to maximize its potential. So, yes, Brock Purdy has entered a great situation here with the 49ers, but there's also many complicated strings that he must continue to pull. He must be very deft in his handling of this Ferrari. He's gotten the keys and he's driving it fine right now, but I mean, the details are going to be magnified here moving further into the playoffs. And I thought we saw some of them magnified against the Seattle Seahawks when Purdy had a spin out of that pocket a few too many times and some drives were scuttled in the first half. He obviously missed a few throws in that game too, might have missed a couple of reads. Well, he's got to be the quarterback that just gets better and better and better every week, because the challenge is going to intensify here moving forward. And that is this Dallas defense. They're going to get after him with pressure, and they're going to hope that that pressure flushes Purdy out of the pocket. They're going to hope that they derail the 49ers offense and throw its skill position players off schedule. And Purdy has to make sure that that doesn't happen. And that's on Purdy. That's on Shanahan. That's on the cohesion between the quarterback and the 49ers route runners. And it sure will be fun to see if the 49ers can take Dallas's defense to the woodshed the same way that they've been taking other offenses to the woodshed. So that's the Purdy analysis in this game, right? You got to support Purdy with the run game. And the run game and the pass game have to be intertwined. They have to mix. I think you can run right at Dallas. I really do. I think you can run to the perimeter. I think Trayvon Diggs on tape has been better as a perimeter corner tackler than in prior years, but it's still, to me, a weakness of this Dallas defense. I don't think they were ready for the smoke from the 49ers last year. They're talking as if they're more ready this year, but we'll see what the case is, because the 49ers have gotten way better since last year's matchup. They have a healthy QB now. They have a healthy offensive line now. They have Christian McCaffrey now. That has really tipped it's the bucket is now overflowing, right? And when the bucket is overflowing, it's going to be really tough to defend all 5 eligible weapons from the other team. All right, I'm going to take a few questions. Let's go into this comment section, see what you guys are all about. 242 comments. Oh my God. If you're ready for questions, go ahead and put some in. Christopher G. Cowboys have had a harder season than the 49ers, though. 49ers haven't been tested this hard. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I mean, the strength of schedule metrics do indicate that Dallas has had a tougher schedule. 49ers actually one of the easier schedules in the league. That being said, you can only beat who they put out in front of you. And if the team is a lot worse than you just have to beat them by a lot. And 49ers finished the season number 1 in point differential. And point differential ends up being a really good predictor of team success. Defense adjusted value over average also inherently takes into account the potential weakness of any opponent, and the 49ers rank number 1 there. All we can do is sit back and see how they do against the number 2 defense in the league, and that's Dallas, ranked below them. But I do think that the 49ers do deserve the benefit of the doubt, because just 3 seasons ago, they were in the Super Bowl. In 2020, they did remarkable things despite losing 80% of their roster to injury and being kicked out of their own county and forced to move to Arizona. And in 2021, they're right back in the NFC Championship game. So this is a 49ers team that's been in the NFC Championship game in 2 of the past 3 years, that has accomplished already a whole heck of a lot under Kyle Shanahan. 2 division titles here over the past 3 years for the 49ers. So I don't think that we need to be going down this path of, the 49ers haven't been tested. Yeah, this is the very similar team with upgrades that has been through the fire in years prior. It's not like they're just waltzing onto the scene like the Jacksonville Jaguars this year or the 2019 49ers. These are the 2022 49ers moving into 2023. And even if that strength of schedule analytically isn't up there with something like the Cowboys' strength of schedule, the 49ers have already proven themselves, and that has come through the Super Bowl and the 2 NFC title appearances over the past 3 years. Do I think Kyle will have something big up his sleeve with Debo? Or no? For Dallas. I thought that Dallas was Debo. Sorry, misread that. Of course. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a straight up trick play, but Shanahan is trying to play chess. He's trying to set plays up, right, when he's calling these games. And I think that he's going to try to call his best game this week. I think that should be something that is assumed heading into this game. Aiden says he's happy the 49ers are the best left tackle to protect against the Micah Parsons pass rush. Let me look at the Parsons alignments this year on PFF. Let's see which side we can expect Micah Parsons to be rushing against. Gives me a little break from talking too. So I am checking out snap alignments now. We are going to go to premium stats up here. We're going to go to player. We're going to type in Parsons. There he is, Micah Parsons, Dallas edge rusher, snaps by position, detailed positions. Here we go. So he's been at left outside linebacker for 278 snaps this year and right outside linebacker for 516 snaps this year. So Parsons is on the right side more often. That's the defense's right, working against left tackle. So more often than not, Parsons has been working against where Trent Williams is going to be at left tackle, but he flips sides. 516 versus 278. That's roughly half of 516, a little bit more, obviously, but that he's going to be working against McGlinchey as well. Does Trent Williams need help against Parsons? Probably not. Maybe occasionally send a chip his way, though, just to be sure. Will Mike McGlinchey need help? Probably. But Mike McGlinchey has been an above average pass protector this year. I think the main point is the 49ers have so many potential eligible weapons that they probably can get away with chipping somebody like Micah Parsons with George Kittle if it does come down to it. Dr. 650, I believe Brock will shock the world. What do you mean by winning the Super Bowl and the MVP? Because the 49ers are favored by 4 points against the Cowboys, so I don't think that a win would shock all too many people. Danny Gray is going to be used on special teams. It's the only place there's a legitimate spot for him without injuries in the receiver room. Do I have any idea of how mobile Glock Purdy was coming into the draft? Like the nickname. He would. I watched his Iowa State film. Somebody just told me they watched my like instant reaction or one of the reactions pretty soon after Brock Purdy was drafted back in April or May, and I they said that I was one of the things I was commenting on was his mobility on the tape. I don't remember exactly which video it was, but he runs around at Iowa State. The question always is when these guys graduate to the NFL level, is that kind of stuff going to work against NFL defenses? Because they're obviously much faster. And the answer is usually no, it's not going to work against NFL defenses. But Purdy's got such an elite 10-yard split that it has allowed him to deliver some off schedule stuff. The challenge is, though, even no matter how good you are off schedule, it should always be a backup plan that you only break glass in case of emergency to your pocket passing plan. Because the pocket passing plan is where the quarterback can be an extension of Shanahan and where you could utilize all of your star receiving talent downfield. Right. So anytime that a QB is running, scrambling, going out of structure, you want that to be happening only because it was absolutely necessary to avoid a negative play. And there's a chance at a higher ceiling with a positive play. And Brock Purdy has had the mobility for a long, long time. This goes back to his high school days. In his high school tape, he's running around a lot. Somebody wants Adam Peters to take Jake Hayner out of Fresno State. That'd be cool. Aiden says that Purdy's going to have to sling the ball quickly after the snap. Yeah, I mean, if this pass rush is beating the 49ers, then yes. Beating a pass rush is a combination of so many things. And one of those things is quarterback's release time and quarterback's decision time. But another one of those things is the play calling. And then the pass rush itself needs to be responsible for things. So I don't know exactly what the dynamics will call for once this game starts on Sunday, but the 49ers will have to be on their P's and Q's, and that is a team effort in the sport of football. Smash that like button. Hell yeah. I'm not going to answer questions about 49ers defense against Dak Prescott until tomorrow's show. Today we're doing 49ers offense against the Cowboys defense. Do I think Ayuk will be the most productive wide receiver on Sunday between both teams? It's a great question. CeeDee Lamb on the other side, Debo Samuel on the 49ers side. You never know who's going to be the most productive target in these games because it all depends on the defensive game plan and who they try to take away, right? We had George Kittle score 7 touchdowns in 4 games, and then he's gone quiet here. Only 2 catches the other day against the Seattle Seahawks. So it's hard to say who's going to be the most productive receiver. That's why I hate fantasy football because there's so many complicated factors that go into it. Jordan Mason usage would be good news for the 49ers. It'd mean they're trying to, in all likelihood, put this game away. So, I mean, he's their closer. Sometimes they need him. Sometimes they don't for that save situation. Do I think Dallas is going to try to move Parsons inside at all? Parsons, no. He's done, like, I'm looking at his snap alignment here. They're saying he's done a handful of snaps at some of the inside linebacker positions. So you might see a snap or two for a blitz of some sort because Parsons is a good blitzer. He's an edge. He's a hybrid. He's a hybrid edge rusher linebacker. So maybe you bring some blitzes up the gut to see if the 49ers can handle them. But so far, Purdy's handled those blitzes and the offensive line has handled those blitzes so far. Unleash George Kittle, 2 touchdowns, 75 plus yards. That's what Eric says. George Kittle's been unleashed this year. He had 11 touchdown catches on the regular season, second only to Travis Kelce, who had 12. Kittle previously, his career high was 6. So 49ers have unleashed Kittle. Again, it's a product of that. I have a piece coming out tomorrow morning on The Athletic, which is about Brock Purdy. He just needs to play point guard, right? He said that himself. It's a Brock Purdy quote. You play point guard, you play within the structure of the 49ers offense. And then all of these weapons, they're going to create this spacing on the field because they're all commanding attention because they're all superstars. And if you're Purdy and you're sitting behind that number 3 offensive line and you're stepping up in the pocket and you're staying within structure, using your quickness to keep plays alive within the pocket, keep your eyes downfield, somebody is very likely to be open. Right? It's when you bail the pocket and put yourself into a position where your shoulders are away from the target and you're not able to immediately throw, you got to reset your hips to throw. That's where you could start to throw a wrench into this offensive engine. That's where the structure that Kyle Shanahan's designing that's intended to get guys and spring guys open at the right spots, that's where it gets a little bit tougher. This is, I think, the prevailing thought. I don't see how Dallas can stop all the weapons on offense. They are also injured in the secondary. That's right. Jaron Curse was limited in practice today, but has that knee injury. So I think you're correct. I think that it is hard to see how Dallas can stop the offense. Now, I do know an answer to the question, though. I think it's the pass rush beating the 49ers offensive line straight up, and that means beating them with 4. If you could beat an offensive line with only 4 pass rushers, 7 drop into coverage, all of a sudden it's a lot harder to pick anybody apart because you got more defenders than eligible receivers. So that'd make life really hard for Brock Purdy. But again, the 49ers have been blocking their tails off up front this year with that offensive line. Pass protection efficiency has been awesome. And the best pass protection is a good running game. You diffuse a pass rush with a run game because pass rushers love to be on their toes. They love pinning their ears back, getting in the 3-point stance and roaring after the quarterback. If they're worried about having to stop the run, though, they're going to be on their heels at the snap and they're not going to be fully invested in getting after that QB. So 49ers just need to establish that run game. Sometimes you have to do that by passing first, right? Pass to set up the run, complementary football. Either way you do it, you need to have a threat on the ground. You need to be churning yardage that way. That way you take steam out of that Dallas pass rush. Do I expect more runs this game? Yeah, I do. But I mean, runs, the total amount of runs ends up dependent on the final score, much more than it does on initial game plan, right? Because the 49ers are going to try to be balanced. If Dallas is running two high safeties, they're probably going to run. If Dallas creeps a safety in, 49ers will feel that it is licensed to pass. And that's just how it goes. We can't really be counting rushing attempts versus passing attempts before the game has even started. I don't think that Van Der Esch presents that much of a problem. I think he's a solid player. I don't think he's a superstar. So I think the 49ers will be fine scheming around him. All right, let's see what we got here. A Dallas radio show saying they hope Christian McCaffrey gets injured. I didn't see that. That's terrible. Yeah, the game plan is never rush or pass. This is a big misconception about Kyle Shanahan and how he calls these games. He's not sitting there saying, I'm going to run or I'm going to pass. He's sitting there saying, I'm going to run or pass depending on what the defense is giving me. Kyle Shanahan always goes to the opening. That's how he calls these games. Again, if a defense is showing a six-man front, or if they're showing that single high, one of the safeties coming down to create a single high situation that is tailored to stop the run, that's when Shanahan's going to pass. If a defense is backing off, they go into a two shell. They're dropping those safeties backwards. So when Shanahan feels he has a numbers advantage to run, it's not predetermined. The 49ers have plays to beat both, but they want to always be taking advantage of an inefficiency that is shown by the defense. Yeah, I don't think that Van Der Esch is as quick as he used to be. They got Van Der Esch and they've got Anthony Barr, a couple linebackers who I think are clearly past their prime. That middle level of the defense, that could be something that the 49ers attack. Interesting stat, and I have to watch more tape to figure out what the hell's behind all this. But the Cowboys, number 2 total defense DVOA, they're number 32 last in DVOA covering tight ends. All right, no, not tight ends. DVOA covering number 2 receivers. And there's a debate about who the 49ers number 2 receiver is. I think Brandon Ayuk's the one just because he's the guy that most often gets matched up against your prototypical cornerback one. The 49ers just have a different offense than a lot of teams. It's just the term, the way that we term who's playing what position because they're so positionless is a little bit different. But the point is that Dallas, for whatever reason, its number 2 wide receivers has given up a ton of efficiency this year. And it surprises me, at least mildly, because Deron Bland hasn't been a bad corner opposite Trevon Diggs. Um, Malik Hooker and Jaron Kearse, good safeties, right? So where is this struggle coming from for Dallas against number 2 receivers? That's a question that's going to be on my mind. It's one I'm going to be watching some more tape on. I'll come back to you maybe with some of my findings. Garoppolo update. Yeah, I saw Jimmy Garoppolo today in the locker room. No boot anymore. He was in tennis shoes, walking around just fine, no limp. Didn't I tell you guys 6 weeks? About 6.5 weeks ago, that'd be when that boot might be able to come off, maybe a little bit earlier if the 49ers gotten really lucky with the fracture. I think they got a bit unlucky with the location of it there. It was near that Liz Frank. It wasn't a Liz Frank injury, but the fracture did take about 6 weeks to heal. Probably wrapping up that healing process right now. And maybe we do see Jimmy be able to suit up for one of these games. Probably not this one, but maybe for the NFC Championship game. What a luxury a backup like Jimmy Garoppolo, even if he's not fully healthy, what a luxury that might be for the 49ers. All right, I'm scrolling down. There's a question about Dallas's yards after the catch that I should look up. I don't have the exact numbers, but the 49ers consistently top 2 in yards after the catch per reception. Seahawks were really bad at yards after the catch per reception, and they're really bad at defending it this past week. When do I think Ray McLeod will finally break one for a touchdown? I think it's going to happen on Sunday. Ray McLeod, touchdown, special teams. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I am looking for more questions here. Do I think Purdy will have another legendary game? Well, I mean, he's got the keys to the Ferrari, and so far it seems like Purdy knows how to drive the Ferrari. Let's put it that way. So I think that it is possible that he has another great game. This one would come against the Dallas Cowboys. This would mean a lot to the 49ers franchise and their fans. This is a good question from Ryan Rodriguez. Do I think the Cowboys are slowly running out of gas considering they've been on the road since Christmas Eve? Kind of like the 49ers in the NFC title game last year. Absolutely. I think that's why we're hearing so many complaints come out of Dallas about how unfair the schedule is. It's like, give me a break. Listen, you have a chance to neutralize any potential schedule disadvantages at the start of the year by winning a lot of games and netting your conference's number one seed. Nobody should complain about a postseason schedule if they don't win enough games to get the number one seed. That's how the rules are set up. You enter the year knowing that there's a wild card game on Monday, and that if you're a wild card team, there's a chance they're going to play in it. That's a ground rule that's laid out at the start of the season. You know it's going to be uneven rest. But guess what? It's in your power to overcome that ground rule, to make sure that it doesn't apply to you. You get the number one seed and you don't worry about that first round. You get extra rest. And the Cowboys right now, and they have a lot of media members just screaming about how it's not fair that the 49ers played on Saturday, have an extra day of rest, and the 49ers who played on Monday night have a day shorter rest, and how the Cowboys have to fly and all this. It's like, what is this, Little League? Like, are we, is this, I don't understand why people don't understand the incentive to get the number one seed. And the 49ers didn't get the number one seed. No, they still had to play wild card weekend, but they got the 2, and the 2 has given them benefits through scheduling as well, right? So get up into one of those top seeds and then come back and complain if you don't like the schedule. But the 49ers are in a higher position this year than Dallas, who's down at number 5. And guess what? Life is not supposed to be easy for number 5 seeds. It's not supposed to be easy to go from 5 seed, which is a wild card team, not even a division champion, to the promised land. And for some reason, we're getting a lot of complaints from people associated with Dallas or media members who seem to have some sympathy for Dallas in those situations. 49ers barely squeaked into the playoffs last year. They paid the price for it, right? And they didn't complain about it. It's a reason why they ran out of gas late, yes, but complaining about it just means that you didn't do enough during the regular season, and quite frankly makes you seem like a loser. So that's something that I just haven't understood. In the NFL, you earn your playoff seeding and you earn your playoff path, and the 49ers earned a pretty damn good one. The Cowboys, who finished behind the 49ers, did not. Okay. Brock Purdy does not prefer to roll out to his left side. This is an adjustment that NFL defenses have made against Purdy. You could see the pass rushing angles. They've noticed, hey, this guy loves to bolt the pocket. That's something we need to force him to do, but then we need to force him into a spot of rolling out where he's uncomfortable so he doesn't burn us with off-schedule plays. And I think that adjustment from opposing defenses has been roar in from the right side, angle the pass rush so that Purdy has to spin away to his unnatural side, because if he's rolling to the left to be able to throw, he's got to flip the hips back, and that's going to take some time and fire downfield. Whereas if he's rolling to the right, he's in ready throwing motion at all times. And Purdy, remember his first couple starts, he was rolling right a lot more often. Then defenses were like, oh, wait, he's good at this. We're going to stop that. But Purdy, ever since his first start, players have told me that he's the 49ers' most accurate thrower on the run, even more accurate than Lance or Garoppolo on the run. So Purdy does like to run around a little bit. That's a habit that he's going to have to lose under Kyle Shanahan unless it's absolutely necessary, because Shanahan loves the structure. But even his propensity to run around a bit does not mean that rolling to the left is his optimal play. Purdy's optimal play is moving to the right if he does have to get out of the pocket. I mean, we saw the best of Brock Purdy on the touchdown that opened the game against the Seattle Seahawks to Christian McCaffrey, right? He stayed in the pocket, but he danced around the pocket, angled his body in the pocket to keep his eyes downfield, hit CMC for the touchdown to the right flat. That's the kind of stuff that the 49ers need. They need command of the pocket, but also a little bit of fearlessness and a little bit of moxie to be able to work outside of it so that you can escape when the situation calls for it. Just don't try to escape too early. It is raining hard outside. I could hear it right now. You guys hear that? Maybe not. Maybe the mic won't pick it up. But by the way, this is the last rain that I'm hearing outside that we are going to experience for quite some time in the Bay Area. My entire 10-day forecast is sun moving forward. So this is watering the field. I think the 49ers probably anticipated this rain hitting the Bay Area tonight. You saw my video earlier today. I showed you the saloon font, which is still with the red paint left over from the Seattle game. I'm guessing the 49ers will let the field dry tomorrow and then paint it on Friday, 2 days ahead of Sunday's game. And then they don't have to worry about any more rain hitting the field in between the time of painting and the time of pregame warmups on Sunday against the Cowboys. It's snowing in Calgary. That's awesome. Where are people watching? Be great to hear where people are watching right now. By the way, let me open up some stuff. We're going to take a look at some practice footage from today for those of you who are just joining. Here we go. Put this up on the screen. Tomorrow I'm going to Kezar. Tomorrow I'm going to Candlestick. This was me at Kezar for those who just missed it. I did the whole Kezar Stadium tour for you yesterday. Candlestick site tomorrow. That's going to be fun. But let's look at Brock Purdy working for the 49ers today. This is going to be good stuff. Yeah, I'll make this bigger up on the screen. We can check out Purdy first. He was working on some rollout throws for the 49ers. Josh Johnson, 17, the backup. Look, number 17 right behind me. There's Josh Johnson. I got this jersey before I knew that Josh Johnson was going to be back on the 49ers wearing it. So we had Purdy and Johnson doing some movement drills early, and then these are their regular throwing drills. Once I fast forward a little bit, man, that we see to the 49ers receivers at practice. It was nice and dry, good conditions at practice. Purdy looked crisp, didn't let the ball hit the ground. Johnson let the ball hit the ground once. And this is what went down. The only news on the day is that Juwan Jennings and Sansom Ebukam were both at practice for the 49ers. They're limited due to ankle injuries, but they look like they're going to be just fine for this team moving forward. All right, I'm looking to see where people are at. Florida, Stockton, what's up, 209? I love it. You know, I grew up with a 209 area code as well in Visalia. Then the 209 started getting too many people, so they made a new area code, the 559. My phone is 559. You could guess the remaining 7 numbers. I'll just give you the first 3. That'll be it. Florida, Orange County, Florida. Oh, sorry. Hello from Dallas, Stephen Reeves. Shanahan said no hamburgers day before the game. Did he say that today in his press conference? I forgot. Oregon. I love that. Cool stuff. Beautiful state. Johnny in San Jose. Fairfield. Turlock. Cool. Hollywood. Simi Valley. Lake Elsinore. Los Banos. Awesome. Los Banos, by the way. Let's shout out to them. Cotija Taco Shop. Los Banos. Right off 152. If you're taking I-5 from the Bay Area to LA or vice versa, it's only 6 miles off of I-5, and you're going to get massive burritos, great tacos, good Mexican food in this little shack right off the side of the road called Cotija in Los Banos. That's where Mr. Hot Jalapeno is from. Orange, California, Mississippi. This is awesome. Mississippi, it's like 11:46 p.m. You guys probably laying in bed watching. My fiance, she's in Nashville right now. She's sleeping. I'm sure she's not watching at 11:46 p.m. So I appreciate I appreciate the Central Time Zone, and maybe there's some Eastern Time Zone as well. Watching the show, Clovis, that's awesome. We got everybody in here representing the whole country. All right, so we just looked at some of the 49ers tape from practice today. I also have a bunch of interviews up on the page, so make sure you go and check those out. We have, I think Bosa went today in the locker room. Yep, Bosa went today. Fred Warner, Kyle Juszczyk, those were all good. Nick Bosa was dropping some knowledge. Remember Bosa last year suffered a concussion in the game against the Cowboys. There he is. That's Nick Bosa in the locker room, cinematic mode. And so he watched on TV for most of the game in the locker room. Fred Warner also got hurt. So the 49ers finished that game against the Cowboys without Bosa or Warner. We're going to get into that more tomorrow when I do the preview of the 49ers defense against Dak Prescott. But, everybody who wasn't here a little bit earlier, this is Brock Purdy's 49ers against the Cowboys defense. It starts with Dallas's pass rush. It really does. That is the strong suit of this football team. We open up the pressure totals here. Dallas is the second highest adjusted sack rate in football. Parsons off the edge, 98 pressures. DeMarcus Lawrence, everybody knows his name, 56 pressures. Dorrance Armstrong, 43. Dante Fowler Jr., another household name, 40. Odigizua, the defensive tackle, he's going to be a load for either Brendel, Banks, Burford, or Brunskill, the law firm out there in the middle to take on. He has 34, and Samuel Williams is 22. About the only good news here for the 49ers is that the Cowboys no longer have Randy Gregory, who went to Denver in free agency. So that's a break for the 49ers. But again, this is not a break for the 49ers. This is some serious talent that is going to be coming after them on the defensive lines. So the 49ers will be trying to run the football in this game against the Dallas defense that I'm not sure if they're physical enough. They weren't last year. So is Dallas physical enough to stop the 49ers run game? Because if they don't, then they can't pin their ears back with this. And that's what the Cowboys want to do. They want to pin their ears back with these guys. But you have to stop the run game. And the 49ers, I just think it seems like, even though Dallas's run defense has improved this year, it seems that the 49ers are just in sheer overpowering mode with how well their line is playing and how well those skill positions extend deep into trouble for an opposing offense. Brock Purdy sits back, plays point guard. And boy, he's more than a point guard because he can move around in that pocket as well. Probably going to come in handy against the team that can get after it with the pass rush as much as the Dallas Cowboys. Remember, the 49ers worked Dallas before Garoppolo's shoulder injury last year. That was the stat of the game. 10.3 per attempt before the injury, 3.3 after. If Purdy is, bringing the heat in this game and he's healthy, you got to believe that he can deliver efficiency closer to the former than to the latter. The one question, though, is have the Cowboys with Hankins in the middle, right? Odigizua in the middle, have they gotten better against the run to where can they collapse the interior line for the 49ers and close some of those running lanes for McCaffrey, Mitchell? I think it's doubtful. And, I think Vegas is underestimating the 49ers. The implied score of the spread and the 46-point over-under is 25-21. Hard for me to see the 49ers scoring only 25 in this football game. It really is. They're averaging 34.8 with Brock Purdy, who also has the highest quarterback rating in the league. And that just shows you how much of a command the 49ers have on these games. So I think the 49ers score 30. That's going to be my prediction. But this is the matchup. I mean, Purdy, this is the best pass rush that Purdy has faced. Now, if this pass rush completely detonates the game, stops the run, does what it needs to, maybe Purdy doesn't even get to 22 points in this game. But so far, his track record indicates he can get the 30. And we'll see if Dallas can do anything about it. The thing is, right now, the way defenses look in the league, it's like the 49ers defense and it's everybody else's. Dallas, they've given up points here. I mean, let's look at the Cowboys' recent games. Cowboys 2022 schedule. Check it out. So Dallas lost to Jacksonville 40-34. It was 34-34 at the end of regulation. Dallas beat the Eagles on the 24th, 40-34, gave up a lot of points again, but that's a top flight Eagles offense. Then they played Tennessee on a short week. Tennessee had massive quarterback issues, held the Titans to 13. There was the game against Washington where I believe Dallas gave up 26 at the end of the regular season, right? Let's see. Where are we here? Commanders, Cowboys, January 8th. Yeah, 26-6. The Commanders beat the Cowboys. Commanders managed 20 against the 49ers, but the 49ers were ahead in that game. So you can understand why there could have been some leaky points toward the end. Dallas giving up 26 to Washington at the end of the season kind of shows you that 49ers defense is just on a different plane than even the number 2 defense in the league. All right, fun stuff, guys. Went through everything. Maybe one more question, maybe not. Nah, I think that's going to be it. Everybody, thank you for joining. Brock Purdy's 49ers offense against the Cowboys defense going to be a hell of a matchup. I think the 49ers have a little bit more firepower in the tank than Dallas. Last year, we had evidence indicating that. This year, there's more evidence indicating that because the 49ers have entered turbocharge mode offensively. And Purdy keep on making good decisions. And I think the 49ers are going to end up in a good place on this side of the football. Candlestick, yep, heading out to Candlestick tomorrow. So make sure that you absolutely make sure that you're subscribed and follow the channel because the show from Candlestick should be a fun one. Kezar was the other day. Candlestick is tomorrow. All right. It is go time. Thank you to Eric Gomes, who's saying it's go time down in that chat section. It's leave time for me right now. Time to go get some rest during this huge week, 49ers Cowboys week. I love it. Everybody like the vid, sub to the channel. Talk to you soon.